Welcome back, everyone. So, for this video, I wanted to go over my experience with my recent local qualifiers for One Stop Anime, rep the store, in Norman, Oklahoma. It was kind of an interesting day. We're a very small local. We usually have about 3 to 4 people, so that's what I was expecting. Except I knew one person wasn't going to be there because of a previous obligation, so I was expecting 2 to 3 people. And I invited one of our new players who runs the new store in Mustang, Primal Nerds, shout out, to come get basically a free invite to Nationals because all of us already had our invitations to Nationals via points or winning a local qualifier. So show up, basically get a free invite to Nats. And then 4 of our Tulsa players decided to show up. I had no idea they were coming, and 2 of them needed invites, so it became a bit of a knockdown drag out from there. But I want to go over the deck that I played. We had 3 rounds. I went 1-1-1, hilariously all against Tulsa people. And I had a great time. Everyone was kind of joshing around, having a good time. I played Hange, much to one of the Tulsa players' delight. I guess Hange is one of their favorite characters. And we learned something because I was using the Gen Con promo of Hange. And as you'll see here, I'll actually zoom her in a bit. If it decides it wants to load, let's try this again. I know the content failed to load. I'm well aware of this. There we go. You can see all of her static abilities. Hange says your backups with a printed difficulty of 4 cannot be attacked. In the Gen Con promo, she says your monsters with a printed difficulty 4 cannot be attacked. And it really threw me off for a second, but it was hilarious that we discovered that for some reason the Gen Con version of Hange says monsters instead of backups, just in that one sentence. So, hilarious, but let's get into the deck. This was not my day 0 build, but my second go-around with Hange. And if you saw my match against Chris Smith, aka Brody1, on YouTube, you'll see that I played kind of just a random pile with Hange and was able to kind of do alright. I was definitely able to annoy him. So I put some actual thought into the deck and came up with this build. So Hange, let's go over her. She is a 6 hand size, 31 health character with life and fire as her symbols. She is a member of the Survey Corps. And she's got these really cool attribute about her that all of her abilities are statics. Which means, even if she's committed, all of these effects go off unless she's sealed. So before the game begins, search your deck for 1 Titan backup with a printed difficulty of 4 and build it. So I basically, as we'll see here, I get 1 extra card into my stage immediately. My backups, or monsters, with a printed difficulty 4 cannot be attacked. Backups can normally be attacked, that's how your rival gets rid of them, but any of mine that have a printed difficulty of 4 cannot be attacked, so they cannot be destroyed that way. Your rival has to play backup-specific destruction to get rid of them, and because everyone thinks Hange and backups in general are bad, no one's running that kind of destruction. And when committing cards to pass a check, you may commit 1 backup as though it were a foundation. If you play an attack this way, it gets +2 speed. So Hange basically says, I get to start the game with a ready foundation. That's pretty strong. And if I'm going second, because I don't worry about committing Hange, I start with 2 foundations and an extra card and a better mulligan for going second. It is incredibly oppressive. In my first game, I built 6 foundations going first, and I only had to commit Hange. 6 foundations, leaving me with 2 cards in hand, and then, my 6 foundations plus my backup. On my first turn. Really powerful there. I really think the key to this character is how you build, and how she allows you to just build more freely, and kind of play a little bit more loose with your game plan. So for the backups, these are the 2 most important types of cards in the deck. We have a Titan Small and a Titan Medium. I always start with a Titan Medium out as my free build, because Titan Small allows me to build it after I block with it, so I feel like that gives me a little bit more use out of Titan Small, even though Titan Medium is kind of a better block modifier. But there were several games in which I would block with the Titan Small, use that response, and get basically a free foundation at the end of that turn, which was really came in clutch sometimes. But we'll go into the attacks. I have one Beast Titan's Call. I know most people would probably run more, but it's kind of hard to get this to connect sometimes, even if you do use a Hange to make this an 8 low for 8. And it's got EX3, but I didn't really think it was that big because my rival would usually commit out to play it, to block it anyway. But it's in 6 low 8. Response, after this attack deals damage, mill X. X equals the damage dealt. If a Titan backup was milled this way, build it. And if a shift attack was milled this way, build it transformed. So you can build up to one shift attack transformed and one Titan backup if this attack hits. But the deck, I didn't really feel like I wanted to mill a bunch, so I kind of only put one of these in here just to kind of see. I might bump it to 2, but we're kind of seeing where the deck goes right now. I've got 3 Titan piles, which will likely be up to 4, because giving this thing a whole bunch of damage is insane, and I'll show you what card I'm going to cut a little bit of in a minute. But it's a 5 high 4, so if I had to commit a backup with Hange, it's a 7 high 4, and as a blitz it gets 2 damage for each Titan backup in my stage. There were times when I had 5 or 6 backups, and this was getting 10 to 12 damage as the 3rd or 4th attack in my string. With giving it plus 2 speed from Hange, that's a 7 high for 14, 16, and that's not including if I had any of like my Repay debts ready, which just adds to the pressure that this deck can put on. So really powerful. I'm gonna put in a 4th because in actual practice I noticed something I don't care for about this deck and what it decides to draw and when. I've got 2 copies of Attack Titan attacks. This is one of the main shift attacks. It's a 5 high 8. It's got Deadlock, Blitz, Ruin 1, which never came in handy. But it's mainly always just an extra attack, because once it's built as a backup, you can commit it and lose 4 stamina. As your next form, attempt to play this card's attack side, but as a 5 difficulty instead of an 8 difficulty. That's pretty good. I'm always guaranteed pretty much to have an attack in my stage unless my rival tries to get rid of this, in which case they're not attacking me, and that's fine. I have 1 copy of Armored Titan attacks. This allows me to flip a foundation when I blitz. After I block with it, I can immediately build it transformed. So I turn this block into a foundation, basically, if I'm Hange, which I am. Which I actually did once or twice. I think I blocked a Twisting Azure Inferno with this. I think I only had to commit like 3 things, built it, and then had that extra thing. Its commit and lose 2 stamina for minus 2 damage came in handy a little bit, and being able to just lose 4 stamina to straight ruin 1 was allowing me to keep characters like Eren Yeager in a bit of check, at least to force the 1 draw that we had. I've got 4 female Titan attacks. This is kind of the bread and butter of the deck. It's a 7 high 7, or in Hange, because you can't hard check a 7, it's a 9 high 7, which then allows me to draw a card and ready a backup. I get to play a 9 high 7 that draws me a card and readies a foundation. There's no downside to that. It's got a very lovely +1 high block, and as a form, I can commit it and lose 4 stamina. I mill 2 cards, and then I can pick up any punch or kick from my discard pile. And we're going to skip over Smiling Titan attacks for now, because the main card I pick up is Rejuvenating Smash. A lot of people know this card. It's a 4 mid 6, EX3. As a response, if it is the second card I've played this turn, either as a form or a block, I get to gain 2 health and draw 2 cards. So to always be able to use female Titan attacks, the backup side, to just pick up Rejuvenating Smash whenever I need it, great. And then if I've discarded Enhance, if I've discarded a card during the Enhance step, I get to add the top card of my deck to my momentum. I never drew my discard outlets with this card, but this is something I would trim probably to 3 and see how it goes, and put in the 4th Titan pile, because 2 games in 2 separate matches, I drew 4 Rejuvenating Smashes in 1 turn. I either drew 3 and I already had one in hand, or I just raw drew 4. They just stick together. Or I had 2 in hand, and then I played the second one and I drew 2 more. And nah, if I can just pick it up from my discard pile with female Titan attacks, I think I can run this at a 3 of, and I wouldn't be any worse for the wear. So Smiling Titan attacks, it's a 6 high 6, or in Hange it's an 8 high 6, which allows me to force my rival to spend momentum as a blitz, which has come in handy a few times. And I can form, commit, and lose 1 stamina. My rival's first attack has to attack Smiling Titan instead of me on their turn, which has gotten me out of a few sticky situations where, oh, Godzilla's throwing these 14 damage moves at me. I have limited blocks in my hand. I'm just going to let them take out a Smiling Titan and hopefully save myself some health. But it turns out when they City Rampage and throw 5 attacks at you, it doesn't matter. I have 1 Colossus Titan attacks. It's a 6 mid 10. In Hange, it's an 8 mid 10. I can blitz, add the top 2 cards in my deck to my momentum, which is great. I only played this card once the entire tournament, and I used it to kill my rival, so I never got to build it as a backup. But as a form, I can commit, lose 6 stamina. My rival discards 2 cards and flips 2 foundations. If I get this built as a backup, this basically says I'm going to win the game on my next turn if I draw attacks, which I was drawing attacks all over the place, even when I didn't need them, thanks for Rejuvenating Smashes. And then response, after this card leaves my stage, I get to draw a card. So even if my rival wants to kill it, I get to draw a card. And then I threw in 2 Wind-Up Punch. If my rival has 8 or more foundations, I get -1 difficulty plus 1 damage, so a 4 mid 7 on a 4 diff. And as an enhance, if I've discarded 1 or more cards during the combat phase, this attack gets stunned too. I do have some discard outlets, but I never drew them when I had Wind-Up Punch or Rejuvenating Smash, which annoyed me. Onto my assets, I had 2 vertical maneuvering equipment, just for great offense and defense, plus the zone changes, and I was able to give +2 damage to my final attack in a turn to commit for game, so that really helped out. And 1 Idun box, because it's one of the best defensive pieces in the game right now. Excuse me. Onto foundations, we have last second dodge. Flip for -2 speed and losing throw is really powerful, especially when the Aaron Yeager deck you're playing against sides into all throws, and you don't want them throwing 4 damage on a whole bunch of throws. That is gross. 4 Repay a Debt. I love seeing opening hands when I get 2 of these in an opening hand, because I can build on a 3, build on a 4. If I have to commit my backup, I can. But while this card is ready in my stage, my printed difficulty 5 or greater attacks get +1 damage. So that's every attack in the deck. So if I've got 2 or 3 of these, that is static 2 or 3 damage extra on all of my attacks, plus the 2 speed from Hange if I'm committing a backup. So with 2 Repay a Debt and committing a backup, I can give all of my attacks +2/+2 right off the bat. Pretty solid. And then it forces my rival to not go into deadlock, because if they do, I can just give my attacks +2 speed for free as my deadlock enhance. Really powerful card here. I've got 2 Deadly Research, which can, as a response, commit. After I make a check to play a backup or a shift attack, that check gets +2. So if I'm playing a shift attack and I check a 3, that check's now a 5. Or if I'm blocking with one of my backups, like a Titan Small, which has a +3 mid-block, I can get +2 to the check to play that block, and then gain the abilities. If I block with it, I get to build it. Really powerful, came in handy offensively and defensively. I've got Defending the Rear. This is quickly one of my favorite speed hate cards. I can commit it. This attack with a printed difficulty of 5 or less gets -3 speed. So unless I'm going up against a fellow Titan deck that's running a bunch of the shift cards, it's just commit for -3 speed. I've got Loyalty to a Friend. Not only is this a good breaker card, because I love breaker, but as an enhance, I can commit it. This attack gets -1 damage for each backup in my stage. Like I said, most games I had 5 to 6 backups. That's -5 to -6 damage per attack. I mean, obviously I have to commit this, and it is unique, but I can virtually cancel out an attack. That is incredible. And then in Deadlock, I can commit for +2 speed for each backup in my stage. I've got a couple meeting Hange, which I get to flip, discard 2 cards, and draw 2 cards, and if I discarded a backup or a Titan card this way, I get to draw an extra card. So often on defense, I would discard a shift attack and another card to draw 3, and I'd have more options to block. We've got useful information. As a Tenacious Enhance, I can flip it. My attack gets +1 damage for each Titan card I have in play. So not only my backups and my shifted backups, but also cards like Deadly Research are Titan. So that can definitely come in handy, just adding on to all that damage. And as an Enhance, if a player has 9 or more foundations, I can commit this to give my attack +2 speed, which sometimes I need a bit of extra speed to get me over the edge. But it's mainly there for the Tenacious damage. My other discard outlet, Breaking the Cuffs, I can destroy this card, discard a card, my attack is 3 speed and 3 damage. I was only able to play this card once in the entire tournament because I never drew it. But it happens. 3 Resting Up, I almost always commit Hange as the first card I need to commit because it's free. So this is always commit for -3 speed, which is just really powerful. There's so much speed hate in this deck, it's crazy. I've got 3 Syndicate Target, which is a great low block. It's a 0/6. After I block with it, I lose a health. Fine. Number 10 Pro Hero, it's a 0/6 with a +1 high block. Great. Between these three, and these, well, there's 3 mediums in the deck and 4 smalls, so that's 7, 10, 13 6-checks in this deck. 13 6-checks, and then most of my attacks check 4s. I almost never failed drastically on a check. It was really, really great. Practical Studies, a little bit more speed. If my rival has not lost excuse me, I tripped over my own tongue. If my rival has not lost health this turn, my attack gets +1 speed. It gives me another high block, and I can just really put on early turn pressure to force them to have to commit out to block, or just take a free hit. And when that free hit might be something like a Titan Pile, or a Colossal Titan attacks, you're not going to want to take the hit. And it's more deadlock for sealing rival cards and speed. Nedry Chain of the Big 3, I can blow up a foundation and give my any attack +1 damage, and if it's blocked, I can gain some health back. And Steadfast Resolve, I can destroy a foundation on response after an attack is played against +1 or -1 damage. So I will say that the deck was pretty consistent check-wise. I don't like drawing 3 to 4 Rejuvenating Smashes in a turn. My first round was against James Wood, and he was playing Levi, and I ended up winning. It was a tight 3-game set, but I was able to clinch it out by just blocking at the right times. I used Smiling Titan attacks to try to bait him into, attacking the Titan so I can save some health. He just played his first attack, targeted my Titan, instantly turned Levi sideways, picked it up, played it again because he's like, hey, my first attack attacked your Titan. You got me on that one. But I was able to clinch it out and just keep on the defensive pressure as I could. My second match was against Aaron Yeager, Promising Scout? Just Aaron Yeager. Aaron Yeager Survey Corps. This guy. The transforming one from the set. That was my second round. Just milling a bunch of those, flipping a bunch of my stuff, and then playing Twisting Azure, big attack, big attack, big attack, and just wiping you out in one turn. It came down to a kill turn where I only had like 2 cards up, 1 card in hand, and he drew all gray, much to his shock. Then I drew all gray. Then he drew built into deadlock, played I think 1 or 2 attacks. I was able to block him. Then I drew all gray again. Turns out I only had 3 attacks left in the deck, and not enough time on the clock to dig into those attacks to try to kill him. So we ended up in a draw, and then my third game was against Steph, and she was playing Godzilla. We were technically she was the only actual undefeated. She was 2-0, I was 1-0-1. So we were playing, and Godzilla just murder hoboed me. There was no getting around it. Turns out when your rival plays City Rampage, Black Abyss, Walk the Dog, you kind of just die if you don't have any low blocks in your hand. Yeah, it bloody hurt. Although there was one point, and I think it was our second game, on turn 2 I built into 9 foundations, and she had 4, and she just nuked the field. She's like, nope, we're just going to nuke this. I'm going to build 2 foundations and pass. I'm not going to let you do that. But thankfully, I had 2 of my backups out, plus an Idun box. And Godzilla only destroys foundations. So I had my defensive core still. I built a few foundations. I was fine. I think I poked with an attack that was one of my shift attacks. And kind of just ran from there. But, man, just the output of damage from Godzilla really, really hurt. And I just wasn't able to keep up with that. I didn't have a sideboard for this deck because I don't, unless I'm going to a regional or something, I don't usually do sideboards. But yeah, this was my first take on actually focusing on Hange. I named it Life of an Underdog because no one respects Hange in this set. No one likes her. Some dedicated people like me love Hange. As someone who's not connected to this property or IP, I just love how she plays and how she makes me think about how to play the game differently. I'm definitely going to keep working on her. I like the list off of life because I get to play Rejuvenating Smash and I can just pick it up with female Titan attacks. But I'm definitely going to see what else I can do. I'm definitely going to see what I can work around with in terms of what different attacks I can run. I was considering running Focused Attack, because I could pick up Focused Attack with the female Titan and try to work with something like that. Or I think there's another attack that lets me destroy one of my backups and gain health equal to their remaining stamina. Because I did notice once female Titan used her pickup and I only had 3 stamina left, I could commit her for +2 speed, but at that point I usually didn't need the speed, so it was she kind of just sat there and I had to commit her for to play cards, which is fine until I get to cycling, and then I'm out attacks in my deck because when these are destroyed they flip back to attacks and go back to the discard pile. So I'm kind of wondering if I need to do that. I don't know about Armored Titan. I like it because it allows me to flip things, and after I block with it, I can build it. But I'm not too sure about that. And like I said, I'm going to cut a reju for a 4th Titan pile. I'm not sold on Beast Titan's Call. Let's check standard attack life mids and see kind of what our options are here. Titan's Forest, no. I could build the top card of my deck face down committed, no. Horse Toss is hilarious. I'm not doing the plow through enemies here. I had Stomp of the Female Titan in my original build, but if I'm not on the fire symbol as my main, I don't get as much access to big damage and speed boost to kind of really make Stomp matter. I could gain health with Toss Aside. Could play large Titan attacks. 5 mid 5. It'd give me another momentum out. I can commit, lose a stamina, draw 1, and discard 1. That's not bad. I could play Food Motivated if I wasn't so afraid of checking the 6, or checking the 2. Assault on Utgard allows me to blitz. I could play Unexpected Outcomes. 10 mid 8, and I could rip an attack out of my opponent's hand. That's pretty strong. What other mids could I do? Shapeshifting's not bad. Double Spirit Blast is amazing. Actually, that's really, really cool because I can give my rivals block modifiers +1 plus my speed from Hange. I wouldn't want to echo it if I'm focusing on a focused attack line, because then that gets a little out of hand. Spirit Gun Final's okay. Split Second Standoff's not bad. I could pick up my momentum with Ambush Thrust. Dragon Strike's not bad. I can flip to flip a Rival Foundation and seal this card. Yeah, Nejire Wave. Just could force my rival to commit a bunch of foundations. I don't have enough boost for Vindicating Smash. I don't really know about Muscle Mauler. I could pop a face down to draw a card and pick up a momentum. But yeah, Focused Attack to commit a backup to give this 2 speed to make it an 8 speed mid, and then give it, 9 damage minimum. Could be fun. So I think that might be something I could look into. Got the Wind Up Punch. Plus it's a punch, which allows me to pick it up with Titan, Female Titan. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I like the basics I've got here, the main core. I've got a whole bunch of 6 checks, which makes things really pass easily. I like the Female Titan attacks, can just pick up Rejuvenating Smash when I need it, or Wind Up Punch if I need that, or hopefully, what's it called? Let's actually see what punches I got. Focused Attack. I don't know if Rewind Smash would be good. I want to keep it at the 5 difficulty range so that I can get the bonuses from Repay a Debt, because that just adding free stats on everything is amazing. But yeah, so that's kind of where Hange's sitting right now. Like I said, this is probably my favorite character from Attack on Titan Battle for Humanity, and I'm definitely not giving up, and I'm not going back to the drawing board. I'm going to keep implementing on this Hange deck and seeing just how crazy I can make it. And we know that there's likely going to be more backups in the next Attack on Titan set later this year, so I can't wait to see what other little goodies and trinkets I get to play with. So if you like the deck and like this video, please leave it a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you want to help support the channel even further, you can subscribe to my Patreon in the link below. And I will try to leave a link to this. If I'm going to be changing this deck, the link will probably be different, so just enjoy the video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.